I think tipping culture has gone out of control.
Tipping in Canada sucks, and here's why.
Sorry, but am I the only person here in Canada who finds tipping absolutely out of control?
You draw the line, and how much is the right amount to tip at a restaurant in Canada?
Yeah, can I get a bottle of water, please? Thanks.
Never in Canadian history have Canadians been asked to tip more for more things.
Tired of seeing this every time you make a purchase? You're not alone.
Like, you're just doing your job. You're not going an extra mile for me here. Unless.
Welcome back to Canadian Rant, the place where we speak the truth about what's really happening in Canada, whether people like it or not. Today, we're diving into something every Canadian is feeling every single day: tipping. Tip screens, pressure, guilt, embarrassment. Let's be real. Tipping used to be a thank you, a reward for great service, a little extra to appreciate someone working hard. But now, 18%, 20%, 25%. Before tax, at coffee shops, fast food counters, takeout windows, even self-checkout kiosks soon. Wouldn't surprise me. Canadians are being shamed into tipping far more, while workers are still underpaid and corporations smile all the way to the bank. This is no longer tipping, it's Twickies, it's Tipflation, it's guilt economics, and it's covering up a broken wage system. Let's break down why tipping culture in Canada is exploding, who's benefiting, who's paying the price, and why Canadians are finally saying, enough.
Hey, yeah, can I get a bottle of water, please? Thanks.
This is controversial and it will piss off some of you, but normalize clicking no tip on the iPad. Normalize it! Because I am dead tired of paying for things that should not be tippable. Like, I just went to a coffee shop to buy a bottle of water, and like the lady turns around, opens the fridge door, and pulls out a bottle of water, right? She shows me the iPad, like she turns it around, and then it's like 15, 18, 20. I'm like, girl, forgive me, no tip. But like, I'm sorry, like the way she like, I know the tipping prompt is like involuntary, like regardless of what I order, like it will pop up. But like, you look at me dead in the eyes and you flip that iPad and you show it to me, like, pretending like we don't both know what you're doing. I don't know, I think that's crazy to me. In fact, it's not even the worst of all examples. I think tipping culture has gone out of control. We should not be tipping for basic service. Like, what is next? Jesus.
Tipping in Canada is out of control. There's self-serve kiosks, ask for a tip. You go to farmer's market, they spin it on the iPad, ask for a tip. Who deserves a tip? Who doesn't? You don't tip your mechanic, but you tip your hairstylist, cab drivers, servers in restaurants. Where do you draw the line, and how much is the right amount to tip at a restaurant in Canada?
What's your opinion about the tipping culture in Vancouver?
Oh, that's a big question.
I think it's crazy. Coming from a third world country, we have tipping culture, but it's more of a gratitude thing.
I've got relatives in Korea, so you go there and there's no tipping culture.
Yes.
They just pay them a living wage.
Yeah.
Silliest things when it's self-serve, you have to tip, or they just make you tip. I don't know. I think it's a terrible system.
You feel obligated to pay.
Yeah, it's a psychological trick, I think.
It is.
And here it feels like a demand.
I mean, in India, we do not have a tipping culture. Here, I feel like I'm obligated to do it.
It's amazing to see how first world countries have this necessity to overcharge, and they're finding new ways to do it, and it's taking the whole gratuity thing away from tipping.
Like here, the minimum I've seen is like 18%, whereas in Ireland, like maybe 10%.
And don't you think the hospitality industry should compensate their employees for their work rather than the consumer paying?
Absolutely. I don't think the consumer should have to subsidize for the employer not paying.
What do you think should be the minimum or not be the minimum? What do you think?
10%, to be honest.
I think 15%.
At the rate they ask, 5% seems like fair to be minimum.
Yes. You did so well in the interview.
Thank you.
And your English is great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye.
Tired of seeing this every time you make a purchase? You're not alone. Many Canadians are tired of excessive tipping, with suggested amounts of up to 30%, driving some over the edge.
The pricing of the products are inflated, then there's service charge, packaging charge, and then there is a pressure of tipping.
Tipping is getting cheaper for customers in Quebec, and some restaurant owners are hoping Ontario follows suit.
Customers shouldn't be penalized for having to add more onto that service because there's now a tax that has nothing to do with them.
Here's the latest from Now Toronto. The Quebec government introduced legislation making it mandatory for tip percentages to be calculated before taxes are applied to the bill, making tipping slightly cheaper for customers. Restaurants are now required to suggest tips in a discreet way that doesn't pressure customers into tipping a certain amount. Jerome Robinson, owner of downtown Toronto restaurant The Heartbreak Chef, also hopes the same rules can be brought to Ontario.
I do think it will incentivize people to tip more, because if you look at a larger value, it might be a little harder to justify giving a bigger tip or maybe tipping more.
So tell us, do you think this is a good idea? Head to nowtoronto.com to learn more and subscribe to our newsletter.
Never in Canadian history have Canadians been asked to tip more for more things than ever, on top of these insane prices that we're paying because of inflation. So that's why I'm telling all of you, you do not tip unless you are seated down being served food and the service is good, or unless somebody is delivering that food to your door. If you ever go to Starbucks to pick up a coffee, or a pizza to pick up your pizza, and they hand you the machine and it says minimum 15% tip, 20% tip, 25% tip, I want you to respectfully click 4, click 0, click enter, and look at the person and say, thank you very much, and walk out. You should not be expected to tip when you're already picking up your food. You're paying already this crazy high price for the food that we have to pay for already. You do not need to tip. And honestly, it's disrespectful and it's a slap in the face to the consumers and the customers of these businesses to put that tip prompt right in front of them, because they use that to their advantage because they know it's socially awkward. Well, let's all make it not socially awkward. I want you to proudly, each time you get that machine, 4-0 enter, baby. That's what I want. And look, I'm telling you this as somebody that used to be a server. This is not acceptable. I hate that they're doing this. It just makes every interaction at any restaurant, anytime you pick up your coffee, just awkward. Unnecessarily awkward for no reason.
Where is the craziest place you've seen asking for tips? Like, what is the craziest business that you've come across that have asked you to tip? Because I think tipping culture is getting so nuts. It's getting way out of control. These corporations are so greedy that they're wanting us to supplement their workers so that they can take home more money at the end of the day, which is BS. And I've seen comments online of people being like, I went to go get my tires rotated and there was a tip option at the end of it. Like, what? So I'm just curious, what is the craziest business that you've seen asking for a tip?
Sorry, but am I the only person here in Canada who finds tipping absolutely out of control? Whatever about tipping in a restaurant or when somebody's really, really nice, but in a coffee shop where I have to stand and take my own drink to my table, and then I'm expected to drop my dishes over to the dirty dish pile. Not that I'm unable to do that or that I mind doing it, but what is the tip for then? I really don't get it. I remember being here a few years ago when the minimum pre-programmed amount was like 10%, and now it's gone up to 18%. It's insane. I really don't understand what I'm tipping for. I'm more than happy to hop over the counter and get my own food. I just think it's gone so out of control.
Tipping in Canada sucks, and here's why. Everywhere you go, restaurants, coffee shops, even takeout, they're hitting you with this screen. Canada's tipping culture used to be a thank you. Now it's a requirement. Average tips have jumped from 16% to 20% in just a few years. And those machines, they're designed to guilt you into paying even more. But here's the thing, 59% of Canadians actually want tipping to disappear and switch to higher wages instead. So next time, just tip what you think is fair.
I want to talk about tipping culture here in Canada, guys. Look at this. I just went to a restaurant here, guys, and my bill is, see, $68.96. I'm going to show it to you right now. Check this out. And, of course, GST is $3.45. And $72.41 is the total. Guess how the restaurants work these days, guys? Well, have kids sleeping in the car. I'm going to show you something else crazy going on here in Calgary. Look at those guys sitting right in front of my house. Check these guys out. What the hell? Are they dangerous or not? Hey, this guy has freaking horns. Hey, buddy, I'm going home. We're not fighting with you. But anyways, why do you have to pay a tip for GST? So they put 3 options for you guys. One of them is 15% tip, then 18%, and then 20% tip. It's freaking crazy, guys. And with inflation and everything, the prices are up, the food portions are tiny. Now, with this being said, I just want to ask you, what do you guys think about this crazy tipping culture we have in Canada? And what do you think about this guy's horns? Look how many of them. There's literally food sitting in front of my house. Just kidding, guys. I love animals. And it's awesome. Want to read your comments. Thanks for watching.
I've worked in restaurants and coffee shops and like a bunch of different areas of service. And I've always been a big defendant of if I only buy a coffee at a coffee shop to go, I'm not gonna tip. Like, I'm sorry, I know you're getting paid minimum wage, you're not getting paid underneath it, and I don't owe you a tip for one latte that I'm taking to go. Like, you're just doing your job. You're not going an extra mile for me here. Unless I have some change and I'll drop it in your change jar. And obviously I tip in restaurants, like, obviously. But I went to Toronto, like, 2 days ago, and I went to a coffee shop. And I've never been to that coffee shop before. It looked really good. And I walk in, and I'm like, oh, like, I've never been here. Where's your menu? And she's like, oh, you just order on this tablet. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I ordered my coffee on a tablet. I paid next to it. She just got my little ticket and made my coffee. And then it asked me, do you want to add a tip? To what? I did the thing myself. What? I felt like I was tipping at a self-checkout. I was like, hello. I was like, what?
Why are we still tipping as Canadians? So I'm scrolling through my TikTok and I land on this video of a server that is from Edmonton telling people that everyone should be a server because she gets a base pay of $15, which is minimum wage plus tips. Am I the only one thought that servers didn't make minimum wage? The last time I was a server was in 2012, the Aaron Mills Pump. I have a story about that. I remember, I think the minimum wage at that point was like $11 or $12, and servers would make like $4 or $5, so about like 50% less than minimum wage. And the idea was that the tips would actually supplement your hourly income. Remember, serving can be very volatile in the sense that you can go there and then like show up and work for like 2 or 3 hours, and then they might send you home. So it was nice to have tips. It was in an era where a 10% tip was good and a 15% tip was nice to have, and a 20% tip was amazing. Just at a restaurant yesterday, which I absolutely loved. Like, it was a Mexican restaurant. It was so good. And then when I was about to pay, he gave me the machine, and like automatically, like, lowest tip amount was 18%. So it was 18, 20, 25%. I was okay with tipping in general when I thought that the servers were not earning minimum wage. They're earning minimum wage plus tips? Am I the only person that is like shocked by this? I think it's all that time in like Europe where I didn't have to tip and coming back to Canada and being like everywhere you have to tip. And I know people are like, oh, well, if you can't afford to tip, don't go to restaurants. The food is like great. The service is good. And you know, that addition of that tip should be like a small little thank you. It shouldn't be 20 or 25% of the receipt. I know servers are amazing, but I mean, that's just, I think, a little bit ridiculous. Am I the only one that finds it like, my mind is so blown? They have minimum wage plus tip? And you guys, if you guys think I'm cheap, I guess I'm cheap, but I mean, I think Europe has really rubbed off on me. What are your thoughts here?
I hate to break it to you, but Vancouver's tipping culture is anything but normal. It's invasive, inflated, and downright absurd. Today we're uncovering why that constant tip prompt pushing you to fork out 18, 20, or even 25% is not just a harmless suggestion, but rather a symptom of a broken system. Stick around as we dive into the controversy, the economics, and the sheer audacity of modern Canadian tipping trends. Hey everyone, welcome back to Maple Life. Today, we're diving into a topic that's been stirring up debates all over Vancouver. Tipping culture. Is it a way to reward awesome service or just another sneaky revenue stream for businesses? Grab your coffee or skip it if you're fed up with the tipping prompts, because today we're about to tip the scales on a controversial subject. For decades, tipping in Vancouver was pretty straightforward. You leave about 15% for a sit-down meal, but nowadays it feels like every time you swipe your card, a screen pops up demanding 18%, 20%, or even 25%. Vancouver's tipping culture has not only evolved, it's exploded. I remember back in the good old days when you could simply say thanks and drop a few coins on the table. Well, those days are long gone. With digital payment systems now front and center, the tip option is right there in your face. And as prices have soared, so have those percentages. Some locals are actually calling it tipflation, a term that's caught on amid rising food prices and stagnant wages. Polls from Vancouver is Awesome and other local outlets tell an interesting story. When asked how much they tip, locals still try to stick to around 15%. Meanwhile, only a small slice, about 2 to 3%, opt for the highest suggested of 25% or above. But here's where it gets a little sticky. Many businesses automatically include these higher percentages, and customers feel pressured to pay more, even when the service wasn't that great. At that point, is it really about rewarding great service, or just another way for companies to make up for paying their staff too little? The digital age has revolutionized how we pay and how we tip. New card machines and apps display suggested percentages that are hard to ignore. Some call this guilt tipping. The idea is that if you don't choose one of those preset options, you might feel judged by the person on the other end of the screen or even by your other friends at the table. Imagine this. You're at your favorite coffee shop and you just want a quick cup of joe. But suddenly the card machine is like, hey, why not tip 18% for that latte? It's now $8. It might seem like a small amount at first, but when it happens every time and on every transaction, it really adds up. Is this a subtle nudge to subsidize underpaid workers, or just a way for businesses to pad their profits without bumping up menu prices? Now, let's talk controversy. Some Vancouver locals are fed up. Take one passionate Reddit thread, where a user declared they're going back to tipping 10% unless the service is mind-blowing. They argue that unless you're served a 10 out of 10 meal with impeccable service, why pay 18 or 20%? One local even said, I'm done. The inflation and pricing are out of control, and I'm not paying extra for mediocre food and pretentious service. Ouch, right? And it's not even just in restaurants. We're seeing this tip demand creeping into places you wouldn't expect, like retail stores, coffee counters, and even liquor stores. If you're buying a bottle of wine or just getting a donut, should you really be expected to tip? Critics argue that this trend, often dubbed tip creep, shifts the burden of fair wages from employers to customers. Instead of paying workers a living wage, some businesses rely on our generosity, and sometimes our guilt, to make up the difference. Let's break down the numbers. Vancouver's cost of living is one of the highest in Canada. Minimum wages have increased, sure, but they still often fall short of what many consider a living wage. So on one hand, you have workers relying on tips to make ends meet, and on the other hand, you're facing inflated prices and higher suggested tips that'll leave your wallet feeling lighter than ever. For example, while minimum wage in BC is $17.40, the living wage in Vancouver is theoretically $27.05. Yet, many service workers still aren't earning enough without those extra tips. So is the problem in the tipping culture itself or the wage structure behind it? Some argue that if businesses paid their staff more fairly from the get-go, there'd be no need for this whole extra tipping charade. Instead, we'd have prices that reflect true service costs, and the awkward moment of choosing a higher tipping percentage would be history. Social media and local polls are buzzing with opinions. One poll showed that many adhere to the 15% standard. Meanwhile, heated debates erupt on Reddit and local forums over whether a tip should be a bonus for outstanding service or a mandatory extra charge for every transaction. We've seen some fiery comments. Some people swear by a strict 15% rule, while others believe that a great meal deserves more, and a subpar one barely deserves a thank you. And then there are those who say, why tip at all? Just don't dine out. It's like a tipping tug of war. Beyond the dollars and cents, there's a cultural debate here. Tipping used to be a gesture of gratitude, but now it's almost become a moral obligation. The rise of digital payment systems has made it nearly impossible to ignore the tip prompt, and that's a constant reminder that can feel invasive. This isn't just about money, it's about our values. Do we want a society where every transaction comes with a side of guilt? Or do we want to push for a model where fair wages are built into the costs of goods and services so tipping becomes truly optional? These are questions on everyone's mind. Some forward-thinking establishments are already bucking the trend by eliminating tipping altogether, opting instead to raise the prices slightly so that employees receive a living wage. It's a bold move that challenges the long-standing norms of the service industry. But will it catch on in a city where tipping has become so ingrained in the culture? There's no easy answer. So here's our hot take. Tipping culture in Vancouver is at a crossroads. It's become a battleground where economic realities meet cultural expectations. And whether you're a diehard tipper, a staunch 10%er, or someone who refuses to tip for anything short of perfection, the debate is far from over. What do you think? Is it time to bring tipping back to 10%? Or should we demand a tip-free model where fair wages are the norm? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video, and let's get the conversation started. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the modern eccentricities of Vancouver. Thanks for watching Maple Life. Until next time, keep questioning the status quo and your tips.